Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 Episode 4. I don't have the words to describe it. Well, I do, I'll talk about it for the next several minutes, but you get my point. This episode was amazing. It was directed and storyboarded by the Arifumi Imai, one of the most prolific action animators in the entire industry. The man who made Attack on Titan's action, and as far as the action animation was concerned, this episode was quite good. I do think that the last episode had better looking action, but this episode had a lot more to offer all around. Let's break down the visuals. Make sure to subscribe. We get a small recap of the previous episode near the start. However, this version was reanimated and re-storyboarded. The shots were framed differently, they were timed differently, and of course, they were animated differently. I really like this shot. The camera tracks Riko here, and the 3D background underneath her looks quite good. The actual 2D 3D blending here is solid, although the timing makes it look a bit janky. This shot of Toji is Kagenashi, aka Shadowless. This season has quite a lot of those. Also, this cut is really well drawn and has a lot of detail. The fabric and the amount of line work on the body is really impressive. Out of all the characters, Toji has the largest amount of detail on a frame by frame basis. The first action sequence in this episode was presumably animated by Kyukawa, and while the first cut looks insane, the rest of it looks a bit weak in my opinion. Geto's expression and body language here looks amazing, and the smear work is top notch. Also, the curse animation is insane. The dragon is quite heavily detailed despite the fact that there are no hand-drawn scales. The amount of movement shown by the dragon is really impressive. The effects here are completely uncomposited. Is that a word? I know some people really love these raw-looking unprocessed effects, but personally, I don't really care either way. The dragon's movement here is a bit comical. I don't think that's the effect they were going for. Also, the background work here looks weak. We get this short but amazing set of smears on the bullets. This cut had a cool concept behind it, but I think it wasn't executed well. You can easily tell that the background is warped. Also, this wall was distorted while the one right next to it was normal. That to me looked off-putting. I think it would have looked better if this cut was sped up a bit and it cut to a different shot the moment Geto landed. This is another heavily detailed Toji shot because of course it is. I loved how they handled the dialogue here. Jujutsu Kaisen is somewhat heavy-handed with its exposition, but the storyboards here made it feel more dynamic. The doors, the overall set piece, it looked very interesting, and the shot compositions were quite creative and three-dimensional. This was an incredibly strong close-up. Back to the action, I love this shot. The dragon breaking through the doors is a nice touch. Some of the sequence felt a bit limited, probably because it was, but still, it looked great all around. The effects here are really smooth, and there's a decent Toji cut. The presentation is quite dynamic. This short cut features background animation and some solid movement. This cut looks like it's from Attack on Titan. Some people are speculating that it's animated by Imai, and the effects look slightly Imai-esque to me, but he has not been credited as a key animator. The volume of smoke animation here is quite impressive. Also, I like the color and compositing shift here. This curse looks horrifying. Hear me out. I'm not the biggest fan of cuts like these, but it looks nice. The streaks of light trailing behind the sword makes the movement feel faster. Very complicated storyboard and layout work here. Shots like these are to be expected both from a Goshizono and an Imai project. This cut is very unique. The red streaks are treated like light sources here, and Geto's face gets covered in shadows whenever they aren't around. It's a unique way of visualizing quick slashes. Toji's kick is really well animated. The movement is very well done, and the smears are perfectly timed. Toji's spin is quite frame conservative. A frame of his back is followed by a full body smear, which is then followed by an almost front profile. Also very strong layout work here. The background is hand animated, which makes it more impressive. The amazing smoke effects follow. Again, very raw looking. Classic Toji. Kicks him in the face for no reason. We then get several minutes of dialogue, and the storyboards were really creative. Imai is an action animator, but he's really good at directing non-action scenes apparently. I don't remember his ranking of King's episodes that well, so this surprised me. The storyboards and the camera work was really creative, and we got some delicate bits of character acting. Even the fabric animation looked amazing. This entire section had a lot of character movement. Also, also love the body language here. The art direction and the compositing also shines, and the drawings are really strong. I love the interruptions in the line art here. They are very well spaced and makes the scene look like a movie. The color grading shift is well done. It's an unnatural shade of golden yellow, which makes perfect sense from an aesthetic point of view. Also classic fisheye shot because of course. The camera moves well, which makes the fisheye effect shine. The animation captures the maniacal expressions really well here. The shots are very expressive and the character acting is very well handled. Also the eyes. I didn't really talk about them all that much, but basically most of the detail here is added by the compositing team, not the 2D animators. It is unnaturally bright, but it makes sense because of his abilities. Anyway, back to the fight. Yes, this one did look a bit weak compared to the previous episode, but at the same time, this wasn't exactly about the flashiness of the action. This is a solid cut with a lot of Kannada style kinetic lines, and the storyboarding is very well done around this part, but the action animation is a bit lacking. The setup for Red was really cool. Loved the filter work, but the actual attack was barely animated. A couple of limited cuts followed by some effects. That's all we got. Very strong set of drawings for Toji here, which isn't surprising. This shot in particular is really well drawn and the perspective is top notch. Toji setting up his weapon looked great. The smears were well done and the spark effects were amazing. Chain animation generally tends to look good, although the ghosting was particularly unbearable around this part. It's 2023, anime studios need to do something about Japan's television laws. The animation takes a backseat around this part and the direction shines. The compositing adds this ethereal glow to the scene. The yellow and the golden colors are accentuated and the artwork steps up a notch. This genuinely felt biblical. I don't know how else to explain it. Although the glow, aka the compositing here, isn't the best. Gojo is not that well integrated into the scene in my opinion. We get an amazing cut here. It's very dynamic and the partial rotation / zoom out looks great. Also, the smoke is amazing. There is a lot of line work on Gojo's face here. The smears on the rock look quite good, and the overall presentation of Gojo's awakening is so well done. Time freezes for a few seconds, which made people mad because anime fans have an irrational hatred for still frames, even when they are used on purpose. These translucent black lines on everything further adds to the ethereal yet uncanny look. The purple scene was animated by Tam Lu, because of course Tam Lu worked on this show. I'm pretty sure Keisuke Seishimo has summoning powers. Tam Lu is mainly known for his work on the Castlevania series. He did work on the Chainsaw Man opening. His work here, especially the effects, look immaculate. There is a ridiculous quantity of effects animation here, including the clouds in the background. It looks beautiful, and the compositing isn't too heavy-handed. This looks so much better than the purple scene from Season 1. The Season 1 version had an unnecessary amount of digital work, which buried Takashi Hashimoto's effects. This, on the other hand, was the exact opposite. The effects animation is allowed to shine here, which is why this scene looks so good. Also, what a shot. The compositing does the heavy lifting here, including the gradient at the top and the detail on the eye, but still this looks incredible. Also, I love how they revealed the damage done to Toji. The scenes after the ED had an uncanny feel to them, which was perfect for this episode. This entire thing looked really good. The animation, especially the action side of things, did leave a bit to be desired, but the direction was consistently top notch, which easily made up for it. Imai's output was really impressive. He didn't animate on this episode, which was a bit unfortunate, but at least his direction was top notch. Amazing episode. That's about it. Did you like this video? Check out this other bit of content on screen. Make sure to like and subscribe, and until next time.